All right, back with you at San Diego Sports Leader, the Mighty 1090. Mentioned this a little bit earlier today. Tomorrow afternoon, gates open up at 3:30, 5 o'clock. Scrimmage there, San Diego State, getting set for its 2015 season, getting set for his fifth year at the helm of the San Diego State football program is Rocky Long. He joins us right now on San Diego Sports Leader, the Mighty 1090. Rocky, Darren Smith, good to talk to you.
Great to hear from you, Darren.
I appreciate it. I know we're towards the tail end of camp now. I just wonder if you could sum it up for us here. You've had a chance to see your team. You'll see them tomorrow publicly for everybody who shows up at Qualcomm Stadium. Again, the gates open up about 3:30 or so. What do you like? What do you dislike so far?
Well, what I like is I think when we have the veterans in there in practice, things look like they're supposed to, and I think the only question mark at any position with the first team on offense and defense, even our kickers, is probably quarterback. We haven't decided on a quarterback yet, and we've got two competing for the job, but every other position with the first team offense and defense, we're kind of solid, and I think they'll play well. What we're really worried about is the depth right now because we're so inconsistent at the backup positions.
All right, you bring up quarterback, and that's usually a pretty good place to start. You see a lot of these NFL teams are going through this very thing right now, trying to decide on a quarterback. Would you say that are they on equal footing now? Would you say that the two quarterbacks that you're choosing from, are they on equal footing? Does one have a little bit of a lead, a little bit of an advantage?
I think they're pretty much on equal footing. The only difference is one's a little bit older and more experienced. That probably gives him a little advantage. Maxwell Smith is, a fifth-year senior, and he's played at Kentucky quite a bit, and so he's played in the game. And then Christian Chapman hasn't played in a college football game. If the experience factor is the determining factor, one has an advantage. But in practice, they've participated almost and done almost exactly the same things.
When do you need to make a decision by? I know the answer is right on September 5th, but when would you like to make a decision?
Well, I'm guessing that just amongst our team, we'll make a decision with a week before the game so that he'll get most of the reps in practice, but we're probably not going to make it public.
You're going to keep it a secret?
Well, probably keep it a secret until you see who runs out with the first team on September 5th.
Oh, come on. We always like this information. We had Kirk Morrison on yesterday who's doing your games, and he said he had been out there a little bit and seemed to think that Maxwell Smith was the guy, at least in his estimation, but we'll rely on your word more than Kirk Morrison's. I wonder with a guy like that, though, because, he's an interesting – you mentioned he's a fifth-year senior. He played at Kentucky. He's from Rancho Cucamonga, I think, so he's been recruited by a lot of programs. A guy like that who's played in the SEC, who was able to transfer immediately, how do you find that guy, or did that guy find you?
Oh, they find us. In fact, we've probably had over the last 3 years, we've had maybe 10 quarterbacks that were looking to transfer someplace from wherever they were coming from and looked at what we do on offense, basically. There's a lot of them that have interest in us because they see a true pro-style offense, and they contact us, and then we go through the proper channels. You got to get permission from the NCAA and all those things, and then we watch what they've done where they are, or we watch their high school tape again to see what we think, and then the whole recruiting process starts.
We're talking to Rocky Long, head coach, San Diego State. Tomorrow, the Aztecs will be at Qualcomm Stadium, an event that's open to the public. They'll be practicing starting right about 5 o'clock or so. So you can go see Christian Chapman, or you can go see Maxwell Smith, see the two quarterbacks that Rocky's just talking about. A big topic, I know it's pro football here, but a big topic has been kind of these fights going on in camp. You're an old school kind of guy, Rocky. I wonder, fights in camp, is it something that you're okay with, something you don't like, and you encourage, you discourage it? Your thoughts on it?
Well, we discourage it, and I know the NFL's had some issues probably forever, but it's just been publicized a lot this year. I think you have a problem when you have two teams practicing against each other. Since it's our team practicing against one another, we think it's a waste of time. I mean, you're taking away time for reps on both sides of the ball because we're going against one another, plus they're teammates. There's no reason to fight. And so we discourage it. We have very few of them. Now, we'll have one or two, but it's, usually the other players break it up pretty quick. I think the problem in the NFL is you're competing against another team, and all those guys out there are trying to make their team and show how tough they are, and they're actually not teammates. So I think there's all kinds of issues.
So when it happens, what do you do as the head coach? Because, it's going to happen. It's a physical sport with ultra-competitive alpha dogs.
Well, thank goodness I haven't had to break them up myself for a long, long time because I don't try because they're too big and strong for me to break them up nowadays. But the other players break them up. I mean, someone will go in there and pull them apart, and one of the big, strong guys will step in the middle, and it's over.
Rocky, I was preparing for this interview last night, and, something I mentioned a little bit earlier today, and I was flipping through the media guide, okay? Now, they put a bunch of pages in there, all the different coaches, all the different players, the history of the San Diego State football program. It's a good resource if people like college football, especially San Diego State football. But they have this section here, and it's called Long Tidbits, and it's about you, okay? Now, I'm going to ask you some stuff here that I don't know that you're prepared for. But what caught my eye was this note, this long tidbit. Rocky Long met his wife, Debbie, while coaching the Pi Beta Phi sorority team in the spring of 1971. He guided the sorority to consecutive undefeated championship seasons in 1971 and 1972. Is this true?
Well, yeah, that's true. I got wrangled into it from a buddy of mine that was dating somebody from that sorority. And so he said they needed someone to help coach their powder puff team in the whatever league, the intramural league they were in. So I said that's a nice way to get into coaching. So I did, and that I guess it's true. It's all true.
So your first coaching job was coaching a sorority at New Mexico, right?
That's right. Yep.
And this is how you met your wife. What kind of player was she?
Do I have to say publicly? Because I always told her she was a really, really good player.
You could be as honest or dishonest as you want to be. Whatever's in your best interest.
Well, she played defensive end, and she was a pretty good pass rusher, but she wasn't much against the run.
My favorite part of the note, by the way, is it says Long's defense was not scored upon in any game of either year.
That part's true too. That used to be a joke amongst the girls after the game that they'd never been scored on.
Now, are there box scores that will back this up?
Oh, yeah, I'm sure there are. I don't know where you're going to find them, but I'm sure there are. That's the good thing about being as old as I am. I can say a whole bunch of things, and it's hard to find the truth, the real truth. Just like as a player, I can say I was as good as I wanted to because all that film's dried up and blown away.
Right, and that probably works really well with the players.
It does. It really works well, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's such an interesting thing. I never had heard that before. That's how you got your coaching start. That's amazing. And that was an undefeated, unscored upon team back in 1971 and 1972. Good for you. All right, Rocky, your offense this year, you talked a little bit about the quarterbacks. You talked a little bit about the differences with Chapman and Maxwell Smith. Are they both similar styles? People have asked me this question about your program. It seems like a lot of programs are going to the spread offense, and everybody's thinking now this is the great wave, this is the trend in college football. The Aztecs don't do it. How come?
Well, I think there's two reasons. I think that gives us a unique recruiting ability. I mean, we have fullbacks get a hold of us. We have quarterbacks get a hold of us that want to play in a pro system because most of the NFL is still in a pro system. Very few of them are in the spread because the quarterback's too vulnerable. We also get a lot of interest from tailbacks, running backs that want to be the guy coming out of the eye. They want to carry it 20, 25 times a game. They don't want to be the zone read guy in the spread, and they don't want to be the guy that catches the little screen passes and all that. They want to be a true running back. That's one of the reasons because it gives us a chance to maybe recruit kids that we wouldn't otherwise. The other reason is that whenever you are in a game against similar talent or someone that might be a little bit better than you, if you can control the ball on offense by running it well and short play-action passes and keep the ball away from the other team, the game is closer for more of the game than it would be if you're running the spread against a spread team, and it gives you more chances to win games against teams that might have a little better talent than you do.
Have you been tempted at all to jump on this wave of spread offenses that we see so much?
I have, yeah. I've been really tempted because what we're having a hard time doing is not finding tailbacks because those are easy to evaluate, not finding offensive linemen and receivers because they're easy to evaluate. What we're having a hard time is evaluating quarterbacks because almost all of the high school quarterbacks are in the spread that you would want, and so you try to evaluate them if they'll do well in the pro system, and it's really hard to tell. I mean, I watched a NFL game last night. Johnny Manziel was as good a spread quarterback as there's ever been, and he's struggling big time in the pro set, so we have the same problem coming out of high school.
Yeah, I was watching that as well. Did you see your guy Kevin O'Connell up there?
I saw him, yeah.
He got some TV time last night, didn't he?
He did, and I think he's in charge of making him a pro quarterback.
Yes, he is, and we wish him all the luck in the world on that front. Hey, Rocky, last thing for me would just be about the overall big picture of college football. I read a story from USA Today earlier this week. People had seen this story that you guys now, as an athletic department, unlimited snacks is usually the term that everybody holds on to. But the long and short of it is that athletic departments now, and this affects you, you have to give extra different benefits, more benefits, to the student athletes. And so according to USA Today, I was just looking at the increase in spending from the San Diego State's perspective, and it has it somewhere in the neighborhood of $650,000 added expenses going into 2015, which I believe is right. But then, your competition, Boise State, $1.2 million. Fresno State, $1.2 million. San Jose State gets to add in $1 million. They budgeted in an additional $1 million. I wonder what this does to you as a program here, and what sort of, I guess, disadvantage, maybe a harsh word, but what does this do to you guys as an athletic department when you can't spend like some of the other schools inside of your own division?
It puts you at a disadvantage. I mean, if you, in the recruiting process, everybody will mention those kind of things. I mean, I think our players are taken care of very, very well. I mean, the athletes in this department are on scholarship. A lot of not just football and basketball players, but a lot of other athletes are on full ride scholarships, which means basically their basic needs in school and living are taken care of. Now they're starting to give them added benefits, just like you're mentioning. You can feed them as much as you can afford, those kind of things. So, but when in recruiting happens, everybody that outspends you is going to mention that to the people that you are recruiting, and people are, influenced by one school or another. If they have more to give and more to offer, that puts you at a huge disadvantage in recruiting.
So people bring this up to you because, again, like I said, I saw this on USA Today earlier this week, and I said, all right, $650,000 extra for the athletic department, but I'd understand if Ohio State, LSU, USC, if programs like that play in those Big Five conferences spend twice as much as you do. But it really kind of surprised me when I see that Boise State gets to spend twice as much as San Diego State does.
Yeah, that surprises me some too. But and I'm sure they have resources or ways to get resources that we don't have, since we're a state school and they're kind of one of two schools in the whole state up there. They've also had better tradition as far as winning goes, but it's disappointing at times, but I believe that you can get it done without all those things. But if you have those things, it makes it much, much easier to be successful.
Hey, Rocky, final thing for you. 5 straight bowl game appearances here. Picked to finish first, Mountain West Conference, West Division here. What do we think about this year in terms of fan support, what you've noticed around town here, given the recent success, which we really haven't seen from the Aztec program in some time?
I think it's getting better. It's a little slow for my liking, but it's getting better. And if we can continue to keep that streak alive, I think it'll get a lot better next year. I think there's been some complaints about our home schedule this year that we have no real control over. And next year, all the supposedly big name people are coming to play us here. So I think if we can continue to play well, I think it'll continue to get better, and that's the way we're looking at it.
Hey, Coach, thank you so much. I'll see you out there tomorrow afternoon. Qualcomm Stadium, gates open up at 3:30. People can go watch the Aztecs practice. Rocky will be signing some autographs, and players will be signing some autographs, selling all sorts of stuff, tickets and gear, and the whole kit and caboodle. Rocky, thank you so much. We'll see you tomorrow.
Darren, I appreciate you having me on. Thanks.